This orb has an approximately 24/36 hours to dry. When your orb dries, the first thing to note is be careful of the boundary between the orb and whatever you're using to hold it. It's very likely that mache paste has dribbled down over, gotten into there, and possibly crusted into this barrier. If you try to rip it or grab it and drag it to the side, that mache paste, while not razor edge, shall we say, can harden. And if it's hardened, it might be able to crust and break into your balloon and cause a pop. Now, this is not a catastrophe at this stage because your top and your supports are stiff. And if it does happen to go kaboom at this spot, you can just reinflate a brand new balloon into the void left by the old one. But be careful when you pull these off. Try to get them straight up. Don't try to get them to the side. Mine's already done a little bit of cheating. I've loosened it up. If you are really worried and you see some heavy crusting and you're panicking and you're afraid it's going to pop, just grab some water and a sponge, soak the area for a little bit, and any crusting will loosen up and get softened with the water, and then you'll be able to pull it off with no problem. But just beware of that. So here's our top. It's all nice and rooted up. This stuff is very, very, very firm, just like good old paper clay for a pumpkin. And here you kind of want to take your first step, reestablish your bottom versus your top. So make sure, check your vertical line, make sure that your balloon concept of bottom and top hasn't drifted. If you think this is your bottom and you start building, and all of a sudden your bottom hole might be, say, over drifting to one side where your top is down on the opposite side. So try to keep your verticality and your center axis line in mind as you do this next step. That being said, what you're going to do is plan for your light source. I am using, again, these submersible RGB remote controlled hockey puck lights, for which I will have a link in the description on where to get them, and I will probably have a short segment discussing them towards the end of this video. I need to make sure that any hole I leave in the bottom here is large enough to grab one of these pucks and put it in there. On my orbs, I like to make sure also that I've got that hole in the bottom so that any additional light being generated by these guys can beam down from the orb and light a little bit of the ground beneath it. So I need to make sure that I leave a puck-sized hole for me to slide this in. That being said, I'm going to set up my orb in its spot, try to make sure that's centered by the camera. And I'm going to try to be responsible here, sort of. And the only reason I'm hesitating to mark my puck-sized hole with a Sharpie is because the last time I marked one of these with a Sharpie, I started getting a slow leak. It's probably entirely unrelated, but it's left me just a little bit twitchy. But we're going to do it anyway because it's the smart and obvious thing to do. All the rest of this is going to go everywhere but that hole. It's going to be a vacant area that we're going to have afterwards. And just like the top, we're going to start the same way. Going to use some saturated cotton batting. I'm going to give myself a nice border region here after it is well and saturated with the... I'm not saturating the balloon. I'm saturating the cotton. I'm getting all mixed up. I'm going to shut up and do some work. Alright, as I lay this down, what I'm going to do is take the batting, lay it over this area that I have on the previous support section, and avoid the gap that I've marked. Down here I have a piece that's going a little bit too far out. I don't want that going quite that far. I do want to say hi to the cat, but I don't want that going that far down. So I'm going to fold that back up. No, cat, it's just like that. It's not that hard. Don't worry, Samman, you'll get it someday. Showing these cats how to do this has been a real pain. They don't have thumbs. And then you carry on with the next one. Same method. Lay your strip on, carry it right around. Make sure that you don't intrude into the area that's going to be your opening for the light. So there's the piece I folded back. I'm making sure that these opening top areas are staying unoccupied so I can get my light in there. Here I've encountered a slight problem. My support is nowhere near my bottom. So all I'm going to do is grab a little bit more batting and extend it down and interlace it with my support. Now I'm going to check my verticality. I've got my top here. That's going to be the center of that hole for my light. I want to make sure that I can get that in there with no trouble by overlaying it. If it looks like I can't get it on there, I'm just going to nudge the cotton back a little bit, because once this stuff dries and hardens, I'll have to get out a Dremel with a grinding bit to get that to work. Better to make it sure it's all going to fit now before it's a pain in the rear later. Alright. That's all set. And for the most part, all the batting's in place. And then, just with the top, we pretty much repeat those same steps. The glorious rule of this project, as with most of these cotton bits, is filaments first. So I'm going to get all my tiny filament pieces and drape them down from this edge with the old raw cotton before I get into the big wormy pieces. Alright, witchy filaments are now all around the outer edge on the inside of the orb. And now we're going to continue to repeat what we did on the other side. I'm going to grab all those wormy pieces and start giving myself a lattice of Wytchwood. Just on the opposite side. I'm going to go all the way around. Although, I should point out that at this point, if you don't want to have to worry about laying your branch work and details on top of a pre-existing lattice of wormy briar sections, you could start off with building off your extensions to your supports. You could start off by building your funky roots that go whichever way off your supports. You could start making your detail pieces that come out and do curly cues and branchy bits. So you could start there. And indeed, I might just do that for demonstration purposes, because traditionally I've gone right with the Wytchwood, but I might branch off a little bit, no pun intended, and do that as well. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. We are establishing the Wytchwood back on the top of the project now, or I should say the bottom, and there is how it is starting to go and reform itself. Alright, Wytchwood is progressing along and around the bottom, the inverted bottom of the orb. We're going to keep on going at it. When you get to the top of your project, you may be tempted to keep trying to take your Wytchwood wormy bits all the way to the very edge. Don't. You'll go insane trying. Just get them close to it, stop. When this thing is finally set and done, it's going to be inverted, and very few people are going to be poking their noggins up underneath here to see what you took the whole thing as far as you could that way. Save yourself the frustration. Just stop when you get to about this point. Otherwise, your whole bottom looks great and gross and good. At this point, too, you can keep going and trying to do more details off of your supports. I am not. I've been doing this for a couple hours now. My fingers are a little cramped and a little angsty. So I am going to stop and throw this thing under a fan and let this all harden. And I'm going to make sure that I do not run the risk of knocking into something that I've already done, bending it out of place, and otherwise just getting it ughed. Which, you know, the thought of doing that fills me with dread. Far better to have it all set and hard and in good shape, so I don't have to worry about that. So when I do add my extra detail bits, it'll be already locked.